ACTON Blink S2 review video. What up YouTube? It's your boy Jermaine back with another video, and in this video we're going to talk about this, the ACTON Blink S2. This is an electric skateboard if you don't know what that is, but this is an electric skateboard and I've been riding this for a little bit and I want to talk about it because honestly when I first got this board I did not think I would like it as much as I do. Like, honestly, I did not think I would like it as much as I do, and I like this board a lot. Now, do I like this electric skateboard more than my boosted board? No, but there are a bunch of things that I like about the ACTON that the boosted just cannot offer. Let's just jump right into that right now. Let's say one of my favorite things about this board is that this board has hub motors. Now, there's a lot of electric skateboards out there on the market nowadays that have hub motors. It's just a big thing because with a hub motor, there's no belts. There's no belts to replace every once in a while. It makes maintenance a whole lot easier with a hub motor, and also I would imagine with hub motors it helps with the battery, because when I am on this electric skateboard and when I'm just like rolling down just a small hill or even a big hill, but mainly a small hill, the board literally rolls. Like, it rolls without battery or anything. A lot of times when I'm on like any hills, I'm not using battery, I'm just rolling, and that's a really good feeling when you're rolling, because all the time you don't necessarily need to use battery, especially if you know it's like a short distance. Now I'm comparing this to the boosted board. The reason why I'm comparing this to the boosted board, I ride the boosted board a lot, and the boosted board has belts. Those belts provide a lot of resistance. However, these hub motors here, they don't provide that much resistance at all when you're standing on the board. The board just rolls. For an example, if I am on a hill and it's like a slight incline, on the boosted, if I have the controller in my hand and I take my finger off of the controller, I can feel the board slowing down gradually because the belts is providing resistance and the belts is slowing the board down. On the Blink ACTON, you don't have that problem at all because of the hub motors. That's one of my favorite things about it. And I just want to just get that out of the way because that's just my thing. Like, I'm a big fan of belt motors, but at the same time, I'm starting to become a fan of hub motors because how efficient they are. Now, the power and takeoff, it's not as fast as the boosted board, but you know what? If you ask me, it is fast enough. The takeoff on this board is really good if you ask me. You don't need to take off like a freaking Porsche. I mean, come on, you're on an electric skateboard. And I do recommend, if you guys are riding any electric skateboard, to wear a helmet. This is very, very important. I see a lot of electric skateboarders out that do not wear helmets. I don't care how good you are. I would recommend, please wear a helmet. You never know when someone could hit you from behind, or a biker could fall in front of you, or you just never know. So I recommend definitely wear a helmet. And if you don't know where to buy a helmet from, I will put a link in the description to buy a helmet. So yeah, no excuses, you guys, please wear a helmet. Other things about the ACTON, let's see, when you cut it on, this is the battery port. When you power the ACTON on, you know, you get a couple beeps there, and there's lights on the side, which is pretty cool at night. There's lights here, and there's also lights here on the front. I cut the lights off on the front to save battery. You can control the lights through the Blink ACTON app, and the app is not bad. Now, every now and then when I'm on the board and I'm trying to connect to the app, it won't connect, and usually what I have to do is stop, turn the board off, and then turn the board back on, and then it'll connect, or I'll have to refresh the app. But the app works pretty good. You can check the range, and if you're also on the board and you have your phone in your hand, you can see how fast you're going. And it also keeps track of, you know, your mileage and stuff like that. It says I'm at 45 miles, but it feels like I've ridden more than 45 miles, but maybe I haven't ridden that much. I know this month I haven't been out riding electric skateboards as much in general because it's a little bit chillier, and it's also dark at like 5 o'clock, and you know, when it gets dark, I'm kind of like, oh, it's dark, it's cold. It might be raining, you know, so I just haven't been out that much this past month. So that's kind of my thing. Other cool things about the ACTON app, they have this like sort of like this ranking system here. Of like, it shows you where you rank, and then like you can scroll down and see where like everyone else is. So it kind of makes it like a community. So that's pretty cool. And then here's the app here. You can see I got 100% battery. I have about 14-mile range. Now I'm in pro mode. You can easily switch to, you know, other modes here. I don't want to switch to any other modes, but if you switch to a lower mode, obviously you'll get more range. And also with the app, you can just easily, you know, just hit the light button here, and now you got lights on the front of the board. I don't know if that's good for the camera actually, but yeah, there's some lights on the front of the board, and you can just cut them off, control them with the app. And let's talk about the deck, okay? This deck is a little bit smaller than a boosted deck, and this deck does not flex. I mean, this thing is stiff, it is hard, it is not moving, and it also has a long battery underneath it. It's another reason why this is not a flexi deck. And it's a little short to be a flexi deck. It needs to be a little bit longer to have a little flex to it. Every now and then my foot will hit the back here, and sometimes you have to be careful. You have to, well, not necessarily careful, but you have to get used to this board. Because if you're used to riding a longboard, a couple of times that I first got on the board, my foot was just here towards the back, and I didn't really notice it because I'm used to the same stance. I'm trying to use the same stance on this skateboard as I would use on a skateboard that's a little bit longer than this one. And I had my foot way back here, and what would happen is my foot would press down and pop up the board while I'm riding. So you have to you just have to be careful if you're riding a longer board when you first jump on this one. Just, you know, be careful with the back here. But it's really, really simple. You get used to it really, really fast. I'm really surprised how it handles in the city streets, just running over bumps and stuff like that. Because at first I was really nervous about these hub motors because I'm thinking, wow, there's just not much holding the wheel together. There's just not much down here, you know? But then after riding it, man, this thing can take bumps like a champ. Now, one thing I do notice with hub motors, when you go over a big bump, usually once you go over a big bump, there is a loss of power for like just a second. But that's because you're going over like a really big bump, you know? And if you can kind of avoid those bumps, you won't have that problem. Or if you sort of hit those bumps like at an angle, you won't really have that problem. Now, other things that I must include with this review, things are very, very important, is the charger. The charger. Guys, this charger is so light. It is so light. It's smaller. I do have to compare the boosted board's charger. Sometimes, that's one thing about review videos. I hate to compare one electric skateboard to another, but I ride the boosted board so much, like how can I not compare it to this other skateboard? But this is the boosted board's charger. And I'm telling you, just holding this one in my hand, this one is so much heavier than this one, okay? This one is super light. I wanna say this is about a pound, and this has gotta be like 2.5 pounds. Now, I know 2.5 pounds doesn't sound heavy, but when you put this into your backpack, and you got a computer, and you also got to have, you know, extra boosted board tools just in case you break a belt. You know, you need a wrench, you need some Allen keys, you know, you need an extra belt, you know, and then this, you know, in your backpack, that's more weight, and this thing is only about a pound. Next thing that we must talk about, we cannot forget about, is that thing you hold in your hand, the controller. What about the controller? Now, when I first got the ACTON, this was one thing that I thought I would not like. When I first got the ACTON, I was thinking that, yo, I'm probably not gonna like this board just because it's shorter and it just doesn't feel like a boosted board. But once I got the controller in my hand, and once I got used to the controller in my hand, keyword, got used to the controller in my hand, because I'm like a controller freak. I just really like that boosted board controller, I really do. After I got this one in my hand, I like it. Yeah, I do. I like it. It's different. I like it. It feels different. Like it feels good in your hand. There is no reverse. Well, there is a reverse, but it's not like boosted board where you can just go forward or you can go reverse. Here, if you want to go forward, first you have to power it on like this. Like there's a switch on the side. You power it on. The light flashes and it's linked, but I don't want to turn it on because I don't want it to hit the camera and knock the camera over and all that. But yeah, so the board's on now, and if you want to go forward, there's an F button here. There's the on button on this side, and then there's a forward and reverse button on this side. So you would just hit, you know, reverse, and then you would go forward for reverse. And then to stop, you just pull back. So it's really simple to use. There is no safety on this controller, like on the boosted board, how you have a trigger where your finger has to be here for the throttle to work. This one doesn't have one, so every now and then I will have the board on, right? I have the remote on, I have the board on. Maybe I'm stopped at an intersection, maybe I arrive to a location, I reach down, I pick up the board, the remote's still on, the board's still on. I walk into a restaurant or I walk into a store and I'm only going to be there for like 30 seconds so I don't cut the board off. And what'll happen, this button will hit this, and then all of a sudden I got the board in my hand and it's, and then people are looking around. So that is one thing that you have to remember, that there is no safety trigger. So to combat that, you can just easily just cut the board off on the side. Another thing I should point out with the remote, I'm not this big of a fan of the batteries in the remote. This remote has batteries in it. These are two AAA batteries in here. Not that big a fan of the batteries, but however, there is about 45 miles on the board, or at least that's what the app tells me, and I haven't replaced the batteries. So that's pretty decent. I would say that's pretty decent. Haven't replaced the batteries in quite some time. And the remote's super light, and it comes with a strap, and I would recommend to always wear this strap, because just the other day, I'm literally riding down Market Street, and there's these dividers in the street. Okay, the white dividers to keep the cars from going this way. But if you want to, if you're on a bike or if you're on a skateboard, you can go between those. I wasn't going between those, but I got really close, like on the side of one, and my hand hit it. And as soon as my hand hit it, guess what? The remote dropped out of my hand just like so. And I was like, oh crap, and I was on the board and the board started to come to a stop. I was on the boosted board, but I always recommend that you wear this around your wrist. You just never know when you might bump into something, or if you crash, at least if you crash, the remote doesn't go flying like 20 feet away and get ran over by a car or something like that. And something else that I just really have to point out, the size and how you can easily stick this skateboard in like a locker, or you can easily stick it in a place that you can't normally stick a longboard, and it's a little bit lighter. This board's a little bit lighter, and also with the lightness and the size, you can easily attach the skateboard on a back of a backpack a little bit easier than a longboard or a heavier electric skateboard. And like I say, the range on this board it's pretty nice. The range on this board can definitely fluctuate if you are riding up and down hills. The range can definitely fluctuate if you're riding on flat surfaces or if you're riding on hills. Myself, I'm mainly riding up and down a lot of hills. So the range can vary a lot. It can go from anywhere from 7-mile range to about, 11-mile range. And I also ride pretty rough. And on bumpy streets, you're always going to use more battery because it just takes more to power the wheels along the bumpy surface. So that's another thing to throw out there. So if you live in the suburbs where it's like nice and flat and smooth and new streets, you're probably going to get a whole lot better range versus someone like me who's living in the city where there's just a bunch of hills, there's a bunch of bumpy streets, and it's not so flat. Another thing to throw out there, the time of the year that you ride, if it's below 40 degrees, you may have less range on the battery. So if you buy one of these and you pull it out and you go to ride and it's 25 degrees outside and you get crappy range, that's why. It's not the board, it's just, they all do that. Even the boosted board, it does that too. But anyway, I just wanted to make a quick video, talking about the ACTON and things I like about this board, things I don't like about this board. It is a pretty decent board. It's a pretty decent board. If you guys want to check out one of these boards, there's a link in the description below. However, ACTON did send me this board, but this is not a paid video or anything. This is like totally my own honest opinion. They did not tell me to say any of this. This is all things that I think about this board. I think this board's really cool, by the way. And yeah, thanks a lot for watching. Like, comment, and if you haven't subscribed, if you're new, hit that subscribe button right below. I make skateboarding videos all the time, so thanks a lot for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace out.